Here to join us now, Joe Vardon of The Athletic, senior NBA writer. And Joe, man, appreciate the time. I know it's been a busy time, but what's the expectation tonight? 2 Game 6s, starting with the Pistons and the Cavs. I mean, Pistons best record in the East, and you kind of knew that, okay, they're on that verge, but they could be out of the playoffs tonight. What's the expectation when it comes to that series?
Yeah, it's been a while since a number 1 seed has advanced out of the East, certainly to the finals. Right. And then last year, the Cavs were in this position and actually lost 4-1. So this is hard. And, the Cavs have won 3 in a row in this series. They're at home where they haven't lost in the playoffs. And they seem to have figured something out offensively. Now, Duncan Robinson being out of Game 5 allowed them to go to Dennis Jenkins, and he was really good. He was actually really tough on Donovan for the first 4 quarters, and the Pistons certainly had a chance to win. But you look at the free throw discrepancy in this series, it's outrageous in favor of Cleveland. You can complain about the officiating if you want, but the Cavs are more active with the ball. They're moving it more, and they're getting to the rim, drawing contact. So, hate to be a prisoner of the moment here, but it's hard to declare a road team's going to come in to somebody else's building in a closeout series and take Game 6.
So no surprise if the Cleveland Cavaliers are able to win this game. But I think when you look at the team that's already waiting for them, the New York Knicks, do you see a path for either of these two teams to put up a fight against the New York Knicks? Not saying that they can't win, but being one of those long, drawn-out series, coming out of one like this against a team that's rested like the Knicks, does that give the Knicks an advantage against these two teams who are still slugging it out?
No, I don't think so. I think it's the other way around. And at the start of the second round, I wrote something to the effect of that I have no feel for any of the 4 teams who are left. Like you could tell me that any one of these 4 is going to make it, and that's fine. Now, since then, the Knicks, of course, swept Philadelphia, and then when you add in what they had done to the Hawks in the first round, the Knicks have actually been playing lights out for 7 consecutive games. So I do like what they've been up to lately, but that time off, especially if Cleveland wins tonight, when you get to a Game 7, and then whoever advances out of a Game 7, that first game in the next series is usually pretty messy. But if Cleveland can get this done tonight, and then you play Saturday 3:30 at the Garden, the Knicks will have been off for what? A week? Close. Yeah. And the Cavs will have been playing every other day, and they'll be in a rhythm. So, I think I would pick the Knicks to win that series. But you would look for, in this event, where if Cleveland wins tonight and they're there Sunday at 3:30, I would not be surprised to see the Cavs take that game.
The Athletic senior NBA writer Joe Vardon joining the Rich Eisen Show. Kirk Morrison here filling in for Rich. We always look for rivalries. We always look for new matchups. Things that we can kind of hold our hat on and see these year after year after year. And we're hoping that it could be this San Antonio Spurs and Minnesota Timberwolves series that we can see this year after year. But right now it looks like Wemby and the Spurs are holding court, and they have an opportunity to secure their berth into the Western Conference semifinals. What's been your take so far on this series as we get to Game 6?
Well, I've been pleasantly surprised by Minnesota. You didn't know about Ant. And then, just the Spurs have been so good all year, and Minnesota was one of those teams that kind of, you just weren't thrilled about it. You just weren't thrilled about how the regular season went for them. But this is definitely a real series. There is every chance for Minnesota to win tonight for sure. They are at home. They've already won once at home in this series. So, it's certainly not out of the realm for them, I would say, to force a Game 7. And, you like the emergence of some of these other players with the Timberwolves, like a McDaniels, and the Spurs, for as good as they have been all year and as well as they are built for the present and the future, there still is some lack of experience there. And so they are working through that. I assume that Wemby will keep his cool tonight, and that will help the Spurs. But I've really enjoyed that series.
Yeah, I think it's been a series that a lot of people didn't know what to expect, right? This is Wembanyama's first opportunity really on the national stage, and I think he's shown out. But obviously, you mentioned he's got to keep his cool, but if he keeps his cool, I think we do get a chance to see what this Spurs team has been. This is a new wave of Spurs. We know about the Spurs of old, but what about these new Spurs, and could this be the next power of the NBA for many years to come?
Well, we haven't had a repeat champion since the 17 Warriors and 18 Warriors. So we're looking to see if that happens this year with the Thunder. Feels like they're in the best position to maybe do it. So all that is to say, we need to, it's harder to declare any team the next great sustainable franchise. Right. But I you're talking about rivalries with these two teams.
Right.
We got to remember, San Antonio pounded OKC during the regular season, just beat them up. And so assuming we get to a conference finals out west with those two teams, that might be a great series.
Yeah.
And you certainly suspect in the West that you're going to see for a long time, you're going to see the Thunder, you're going to see the Spurs group. You think that the Timberwolves should be competitive for years to come. And as long as Denver has Jokic, I think that rounds out the top four there pretty well.
Joe, I know you got to run, and I apologize in advance because I have to ask it. One LeBron question, because I know the Lakers are out of the playoffs. They have nothing to do with the playoffs right now currently, but yet LeBron James still has the headlines of the NBA.
Of course he does.
I just never knew that LeBron was underappreciated by the Lakers. So I'll quickly ask you, is there going to be a resolution to this, or is this one of those things that's drawn out all summer long again?
Well, if he wants to play, then I think it will be drawn out. I think that he would want to play and he would want to return to the Lakers. I just think those two things would go hand in hand. And then if that's the case, unless the Lakers feel like they can get him for, let's say, a $15 million number, which is, I'm not very good at math, but roughly 35 to 37 million less than he's making this year. Wow. If they could lock that in before they go out and really finish whatever they're trying to do in free agency and trades, then okay. But what I would suspect is, in the event that LeBron wants to play, he says, okay, I want to come back. The Lakers say, great. Let us go take a look at what we're trying to do elsewhere in free agency and see how much it costs, and then we'll come back to you with your fit, your role, and what we can pay you. And I think the answer will be yes. I just don't see a scenario where, like, the teams with room, the Bulls have the most cap space, but adding 41 or 42-year-old LeBron doesn't turn that team around for where it needs to go long term. So you don't like that. In Cleveland, right now they could pay him $6 million. That's less than Sam Merrill. Do you think he's coming here for that? I don't. So, then it just gets a little sticky. So I just think, to answer your question, if he wants to play, then it would, he would rather stay with the Lakers, and it would just be a little bit more of a drawn out process.
No. Well, it's always fun when it's around LeBron, man. Hey, Joe, I know you got to run, man, but appreciate the time as always, and we'll catch up soon.
Okay, thanks for having me.
All right, I think that's Joe Vardon, the Athletic senior NBA writer, and it's always fun. We got 2 Game 6s, and still the Lakers are still headlines.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.